Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. Today I want to give you 5 tips or 5 ideas on how to use your old Blu-ray players. Alright? Now, I am old school. I'm still spinning disc, right? I love the feel of popping a disc into my Blu-ray player or, CD player, that kind of stuff. But the trend that has been happening is that more and more people are getting rid of these machines from their homes. All right? And for many reasons. I think the main reason is the fact that the internet has gotten so good, so fast. Streaming technology has developed and matured so well. And in most people's homes nowadays, you will find a smart TV. Now, these TVs, for the most part, they have a ton of apps on them. Netflix, Disney Plus, the whole works. All right? So people are not finding the need as much as they used to have, a physical media player in their homes. That's what I'm trying to say. So more and more people are dumping these things. They are dumping them on the market for sale. And because I'm a sucker for technology and I love to I love to tinker. And I just, I've been a home theater freak, for all these years. Whenever I see a good player, I snatch it up. All right. So on my desk here, I have 2 Blu-ray players. They are both very advanced players. They are both network capable. This one here is a 4K. This is a 4K player, and this is a standard Blu-ray player. Both of them are network capable. Right? Meaning that they can connect to the internet. They can do so using an Ethernet cable, and they can also connect wirelessly. All right? So even though a lot of people are getting rid of these, these machines, these things are fairly advanced pieces of technology, if I may say so myself. Right? So I'm the kind of person who thinks that we should save our planet, especially when it comes to electronic waste, especially when it comes to keeping these things out of the landfill. And if we can find ways to repurpose these things so that we can hold on to them a little bit longer, I think that's a big win for the environment, right? Today I want to give you 4 or 5 tips on how you can use something like this, an old Blu-ray player. By today's standard, this one is fairly new. This is a 4K player, fully loaded in terms of technology. They both have built-in apps. This one have more apps than this one at the bottom. This one was made by Sony. This one is made by Samsung, right? But these are really advanced pieces of technology that we're looking at right here. But if you're on the fence about getting rid of yours from your home, I want to give you maybe 4 or 5 tips that you can use to probably get you to rethink about dumping your player, all right? So, tip number 1, and the most obvious tip is the fact that you can still use these things to spin a disc from time to time, right? Now, I said earlier that people are getting rid of these things because of streaming. TVs have built-in apps. TVs are very smart. So almost everyone nowadays, or the vast majority, I should say, of people are streaming directly using their TVs. But like I was saying, if you're like me, who is kind of old school and still loves spinning your discs, then one of the obvious use for this is to keep it and occasionally, maybe not all the time, but occasionally spin a disc from time to time. All right. Tip number 2, you can use these things to stream music. So the one that I have here is the Sony UBP X700. This has Netflix built in, and this also have Spotify built in, right? So for example, if this was connected to my system, or if I had this connected to an amplifier, right, I could fire up Spotify on my smartphone here, and I could find this on the network as a kind of a hub or media player, and I could send this stream to this, which I've done many times before. This would take over the stream from my phone. You know, I could still use my phone, but essentially I'd connect my phone to this, and this would take over from the network, and I could stream Spotify through this, and at the same time use my phone as a remote to switch songs, right? So my phone is technically still free to use. I can still make calls, I can do whatever I want to do, but I still have access to the streaming app, which in my case is Spotify, and I can switch albums, I can switch, I can change songs, I can change tracks using this, right? Now, in order to connect this, you'd have to probably use the coaxial digital out here, or one of the HDMI out, connect this to an amplifier or a receiver that has these kind of connections. All right? So that's tip number 2 on how you could probably, use one of these, I'm going to say old. These are not, well, I would say this one is not old by today's standard. This one is a little bit older because it's not a 4K. So this is a little bit older, right? So that's tip number 2. Tip number 3, these make excellent CD players. And if you are the kind of person who likes to still play music, through a CD player, you still like the feel of removing a disc from the jewel case and place it on your tray, and play back some music. These machines make excellent CD players. Now, there's a lot of debate about whether or not we should use something that was designed for movies, for music. But that kind of debate is an ongoing debate, and it will be a forever debate. I have done it. I have not heard any audible differences. But of course, you're going to have the audiophiles out there they are bit perfect, let me just say that. And they will tell you that, okay, a CD transport will be better to play back your music rather than using something like this. Well, I won't disagree, but I will tell you that these things can do double duty, movies and music, very well. All right? So if you're still spinning disc, if you still have some CDs at home, these will even play high-res CDs if you have some of those CDs around the place. Do we have high-res CDs? I think we do. Yeah. Not only that, this unit will also stream high-resolution audio, right? This will stream high-res audio, right? So if you can find one of these, or if you have one which not only have Spotify built in, but also has, maybe something like Tidal, that kind of stuff, These make excellent music players, excellent streamers, excellent CD players. And just to go back to the high-res audio thing, what I meant to say was super audio CDs, SACDs. This, especially this unit, very excellent unit for playing SACDs. So that's tip number 3. Now tip number 4 is almost kind of a little repetition of what I mentioned earlier, but I'm going to say it nevertheless. Now this Samsung here, which is a beautiful machine, by the way. This was a beautiful machine. I love it. Very slim, low profile, has digital and analog outputs. This was just a lovely player back in its heyday, and it still works. But essentially, what I'm driving at, if you're able to stream from your unit and it has, your RCA outputs, right? These make excellent connectors if you want to connect to, say, a high power amplifier. I mean, you have the option of using the HDMI, but if you're a purist or if you're into analog and you prefer using the RCA outputs, of course, having an analog output on these machine and something that you're able to stream from, you can stream straight into a preamp or power amp. Essentially what I'm saying, you can use this as a hi-fi streamer. Now these things do not have the best DAC for music built in, compared to say maybe a standalone DAC, right? But of course, if you connect using the analog out, then you'll be using the DAC that is inside if you're streaming or if you're playing back a disc, right? I'm just saying, as a follow-up tip to tip number 3, you can use the analog out, connect it straight to an amplifier and stream the hi-fi way, if you know what I mean. All right, that was tip number 4. Now a lot of us, and this is tip number 5, by the way, and it's kind of piggybacking on what I mentioned about the Samsung earlier and streaming the hi-fi way. Now, a lot of us, we subscribe to all of these music streaming services, Spotify, Tidal, Qobuz, the whole works. And for the most part, a lot of us who cannot afford the high-end streamers or the high-end streaming DACs and all of that, we do it from our phones, right? But if you have a player like this Sony here, and in this case, this Sony has Spotify built in, for you to connect your Blu-ray player or the player that you intend to sell to get rid of to your hi-fi system and stream high-res audio, that kind of stuff into a more pristine, high-power system, all right? So I just thought I'd share these tips with you today, guys. I'm a proponent of repurposing stuff. I'm a big proponent of saving money. I am a big proponent of keeping a lot of these electronic stuff out of the landfill. In my case, I still use these items to, for my entertainment because I love spinning discs, whether it be CDs or Blu-ray disc, 4K disc. I still love spinning discs. And what a lot of people don't realize is that the audio resolution that you get from these things, you don't get them when you're streaming, say, Netflix. I stream Netflix. I use this to stream Netflix in a 5.1 setup, and the audio resolution that you get from spinning an original disc, you don't get that from streaming Netflix. All right, so that's all I want to share with you today. 5 tips, or was it 5? Maybe it was 4. Maybe you looked at it as just being 3. But in any case, ways on how you can use your old or your not so old Blu-ray player to continue to enjoy it, to continue using it in a way that is conducive to keeping our planet safe and clean. Alright, if you like this video and the kind of stuff that I talk about, hit the like button. If you love the channel, don't forget to subscribe. Alright, so until I see you again, you take care.